All right, so we're diving into the doubling effect today, huh? This personal growth program, it's all about like unlocking some serious growth in your life. But get this, they say it's through these super simple habits.
Yeah, it's kind of a fascinating idea, right? They're saying that small, consistent actions, kind of like that penny doubling in value every single day, can create these really remarkable results over time.
Okay, I got to be honest, I'm a little skeptical. I mean, come on, we've all heard that whole penny thing before, but like, how does that actually work in real life, like real growth, you
Yes,
know?
that's what we're going to try to figure out today, right?
Yeah.
The doubling effect, it's got this like foundational practice dot breathing. But it's not just any breathing. Hold on. It's a specific technique like 4 seconds in, hold for four, 4 seconds out, hold again for four.
So instead of just telling us to, chill out, this program is saying this breathing does way more, right?
hmm
Like it's cleansing the body,
hmm
resetting focus, even get this, supporting weight loss. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. Can you like break it down? How is this breathing supposed to work?
Okay, so they explain it like this. Deep controlled breathing, they're saying, it activates like your parasympathetic nervous system. So think of it like a switch. Flips your body from that whole fight or flight mode to rest and digest. And that shift, that's the key, they say, for relaxation, for repair, even detox.
So it's not just about like, relaxation. It's about optimizing like our whole physical system. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. They also seem really specific about like how to actually work this breathing into your day, especially first thing in the morning.
Right. They suggest you start this breathing thing while you're still in bed, at least 30 minutes of focusing on that 4 second breathing. And while you're doing it, you're supposed to be visualizing your body regenerating with each breath.
Wait, hold on. Visualizing your body, like regenerate. Can you give me an example? I'm like trying to picture that.
Yeah, well, it's about, connecting your breath with a sense of renewal. So, like, imagine each inhale brings this fresh energy, this vitality into your body, and then each exhale releases any tension, or anything that's like stagnating.
Okay, I get it. So it's
Yeah.
like you're creating this mental image that like enhances the physical feeling of breathing. But the program doesn't just stop at the morning routine, right?
Oh, no. They want you to use this breathing technique all day long, anytime you need to kind of reset. Imagine like you're stuck in traffic, right? Instead of getting all frustrated, you use this 4 second breath, boom, you're in a calmer state.
It's like you've got this like portable meditation tool in your pocket or something.
Hmm.
That's really interesting. But the doubling effect,
Yeah.
it's not just about the breathing, is it? There's that whole letting go of the past thing too.
Oh, definitely. Letting go of the past, that's like this big part of the program. They use this analogy. You're
Mhm.
running a race, but you're carrying this like heavy bag, right? That bag, it's all the negativity from the past, and they argue that by getting rid of that baggage, you free yourself up to move forward, more energy, more purpose.
I gotta say, I'm a little, unsure about just like letting go of the past. I mean, don't we learn from our past experiences, right?
Mm. It's not about erasing the past. It's more like, recognizing what's not working for you anymore and then choosing to let go of it. It's like you're clearing out this like mental and emotional clutter to make room for new growth.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So we've cleared out all this space. What do we fill it with then?
The program, it really emphasizes the shift in focus to the future, but not in a passive way like wishful thinking, but actually shaping the future with what you do every day.
Okay, so we've got the breathing, the letting go of the past,
Mhm.
and then this focus on shaping the future. How does it all connect back to this doubling effect thing, though? Where does this exponential growth actually come in?
Well, they suggest that you don't have to force change or like chase after success. Instead, by consistently doing the work, the breathing, the focus, the visualizing, you create the right conditions for positive things to just, flow into your life.
Ah, so it is like that penny analogy,
Right.
right? Like these small actions, they build up over time. But how does this program actually break down this doubling effect in terms of like daily practice, the progression?
Okay, so they use this framework. They have day zero, day one, day two, and so on. Day zero, that's like laying the foundation. You start the breathing, set your intentions, and basically get ready for change. They say you might not see results right away, but you're setting the stage.
Got it. So day zero is like planting the seed, right?
Yeah.
What about day one? What's that supposed to look like?
Day one, that's about receiving your first penny, so to speak. You keep up with the breathing practice, you think about your goals, and then you take at least one small step towards those goals. You're building on that foundation from day zero.
And then day two, that's where you double down, right?
Exactly. You keep up the breathing, the visualizing gets deeper, you take another step towards your goal, and because you've been consistent, The rewards start to compound.
So they're really emphasizing this like cumulative effect of consistent action over time. That's where the exponential growth comes in.
Mm.
But what about those days, when you just like miss a day or you stumble? Does the whole doubling effect just fall apart?
They get it. The program acknowledges that life happens. If you miss a day, the big thing is to not get discouraged. Acknowledge it. Get back to the process and just get back on track. It's about progress, not being perfect.
That's like actually really reassuring. Sounds like the doubling effect, they're big on self-compassion, understanding that, yeah, you're going to have setbacks. But there's one thing we haven't talked about, this whole sharing piece.
Ah, yes. Sharing. The doubling effect. They're really big on you sharing the principles with others, not in a pushy way, but just to plant these seeds of growth.
They're like paying it forward, kind of.
Yeah.
But you said earlier that like you're not responsible for anyone else's results, right?
Hmm.
How do you like balance those two things?
So we can share the message, right? The techniques, the insights, but it's ultimately up to each person to decide what they do with it. You plant the seed, but you can't make it grow.
Okay, yeah, so it's about empowering others without like taking on the weight of their journey,
Sure.
right?
No.
What are some like practical ways the doubling effect suggests we share this message?
They don't get too specific about the how. It could be as simple as just telling a friend about your experience or sharing a quote you like on social media, or maybe you give someone a copy of the program materials, or you could even lead a little group discussion. The key, they say, is to be authentic and to genuinely want to help.
So it's not about being a like doubling effect salesperson. It's about letting your own transformation, speak for itself,
Mm.
sharing in a way that feels like natural, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like we've been talking about, the most powerful way to share is by living it. When you're actually living the principles, the breathing, the focus, the positive mindset, the consistent action, it shows in everything you do. Your energy, how you carry yourself, what you accomplish, you become this living example of what the program can do.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Yeah.
But the doubling effect doesn't just focus on sharing outward, does it? It also talks about the importance of receiving.
Yeah, that's right. The program, it reminds us that being open to receiving from others is really important. A kind word, someone doing something helpful for you, a new perspective, even constructive criticism, they say it all contributes to our growth.
Like it creates this flow of energy back and forth, a give and take that, builds connections and helps us grow. Which brings us back to the doubling effect itself, right? The more you give, the more you receive, often in ways you don't even expect.
Exactly. That's the really cool part of this whole system. It's all connected. As you move forward, the program encourages you to trust the process, stay open, and never stop learning and growing.
Yeah, it's not about reaching some final destination. It's about embracing the journey of,
Mhm.
figuring yourself out. That's what makes the doubling effect so interesting. It's not some quick fix. It's more like a framework for like lifelong growth and being fulfilled. Right.
We've covered a lot today, from the power of breathing and letting go of the past to visualization and the impact of sharing.
So as we kind of wrap up this first part of our deep dive, we want to leave you with a question to think about. If you could double any aspect of your life every day for like the next month, what would you choose and why?
Let that question guide you. And remember, even the smallest actions, if you do them consistently, they can create amazing results. Keep breathing, keep growing, and keep sharing your light with everyone.
Yeah, totally. So let's get into those little details. One thing that really stands out to me is how much the program emphasizes like limiting negativity.
Yes.
It's not about like pretending the world's problems don't exist, but more about being aware of the stuff you're taking in.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It's like choosing to eat healthy food instead of junk food, right?
Yeah.
What you feed your mind, it affects you just as much as what you actually eat.
Exactly. They're saying in the doubling effect that you should like swap out those negative things with more uplifting, more inspiring stuff. Instead of spending an hour watching the news, what if you spent that time reading like a really inspiring biography? Which one do you think would leave you feeling better? Yeah, the biography for sure it have a way more positive impact. But even when we try to be mindful, negativity can still sneak in. Does the doubling effect have anything to say about like how to deal with those moments when those negative thoughts just pop up?
That's where visualization comes in. It's a big deal in the doubling effect. They want you to really visualize the future you want in detail. Imagine using all your senses like sight, sound, even smell to create this like mental movie of your ideal life. The more real you can make it feel, the more your subconscious mind starts to believe it's possible and the more likely you are to actually like attract those experiences.
Okay, so it's kind of like that law of attraction thing, right?
Yeah.
But is it enough to just like visualize it? Do we also have to, take action?
Oh, absolutely. Visualization sets the stage, but action is what makes it real.
Yeah.
It's like having a blueprint for a house. You need both the vision and the actual building to make it happen. The doubling effect, it reminds us that the universe responds to what we do, not just what we think.
So it's not about just sitting around daydreaming, right? It's more about using visualization to like fuel our actions and make things actually happen. But sometimes taking action can feel overwhelming. Does the juggling effect give any advice on like how to approach that?
Remember that penny thing we were talking about? They're all about small, consistent actions that like add up over time. It's about breaking those big goals down into smaller steps, things you can actually manage, and then doing something every day, even if it seems tiny.
So it's all about like building momentum with consistent effort. That brings us back to the daily practice idea. We've talked about breathing and visualization. What else does the doubling effect want us to be doing every day?
So they kind of boil it all down to these core things: breathe, focus, act, and share. We've already covered the breathing and focus, which includes like visualizing your future and making sure your thoughts are aligned with your goals. Act basically means taking at least one step towards your goals every single day, no matter how small it is.
And share is about spreading the message,
Right.
planting those seeds of growth and just being an example of what's possible with the doubling effect. It's kind of like a daily checklist for, personal growth.
Yeah.
But life, it doesn't always go as planned, right? What about those days where things just get completely messed up?
Yeah, the program acknowledges that those days happen. It's not about being perfect. It's more about like being kind to yourself and being flexible. When things go wrong, just acknowledge it, learn from it and get back on track. Don't beat yourself up about it.
I really like that they emphasize being kind to yourself. It takes a lot of pressure off and makes personal growth, more realistic. But what about like those doubts and fears that pop up when you're trying to, create a better life for yourself? How does the doubling effect deal with those?
They know that fear and doubt, they're normal human emotions, but they say those feelings don't have to control us. And one of the tools they give us for like getting over fear is, guess what? Breathing.
Of course, it always comes back to the breathing.
Right. When fear shows up, try doing that 4-second breathing. It calms down your nervous system, shifts your focus, and brings you back to the present moment.
Yeah, I know from like my own experience that deep breathing can really help with anxiety. But the doubling effect, it's not just about managing negativity, right? It also has tools for building a more positive, more empowering mindset.
Right.
What are some of those strategies?
One of the big ones is gratitude. They really want you to focus on what you're grateful for, big or small. It could be something as simple as like a sunny day or a really good meal. When you shift your attention to what you appreciate, you start seeing the world differently, more positively.
That makes sense. If you're always focused on what's wrong, you're going to feel, dissatisfied. But when you practice gratitude, you open yourself up to more joy, more abundance, right?
And gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It can actually change your brain chemistry. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude can increase your dopamine and serotonin levels, and those are the chemicals in your brain that are connected to happiness and well-being.
So it's not just some like feel-good thing. There's actually science behind it. Does the doubling effect suggest any specific ways to work gratitude into your daily life?
They're big on gratitude journals. They want you to take a few minutes each day to write down like 3 to 5 things you're grateful for. The key is to really feel the gratitude as you're writing. Let it sink in.
It's such a simple thing, but it can be so powerful. By constantly acknowledging the things we're thankful for, we're basically training our brains to look for more positivity, right? But gratitude is just one part of it. What other strategies does the doubling effect recommend for, building a positive mindset?
Affirmations are another big one. They're basically positive statements that you repeat to yourself, and the idea is to reprogram your subconscious mind to change your beliefs. The doubling effect, they want you to create affirmations that are specific to what you want to achieve, what you desire, and then say them like you really mean it.
So instead of just saying like, I am happy, you might say, I am confident and capable of achieving my goals, or, I am attracting abundance into my life.
Exactly. The more specific your affirmations are and the more emotion you put into them, the better they work. And the key is to be consistent. Say them a few times a day, like maybe make them part of your morning routine.
It's amazing how repeating something can actually rewire our brains.
Yeah.
By consistently feeding our minds those positive affirmations, we're strengthening those connections in our brain that are linked to the things we want to achieve, right? But we've talked about gratitude and affirmations. Are there other things we can do to build a positive mindset?
Mindfulness is huge too. It's all about paying attention to the present moment without judgment. You're becoming aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations without letting them take over. The doubling effect, they encourage you to practice mindfulness throughout the day, whether you're eating, walking, even just breathing.
So it's not about adding another thing to our to-do list. It's about being more present in everything we do. How does mindfulness actually help us build a more positive mindset, though?
Well, mindfulness helps us break free from those negative thought patterns, and from being so reactive emotionally. When you're mindful, you're less likely to, dwell on the past or worry about the future. You're also less likely to just react without thinking or make decisions based on fear or anger. It lets you respond to things more calmly and clearly.
So it's like mindfulness gives us this like space, right, between something happening and how we react to it. And it lets us choose a better way to respond. How does the doubling effect suggest we actually practice mindfulness in our everyday lives?
They say we should try to incorporate mindfulness into the things we do every day. Like when you're eating, pay attention to how your food tastes, how it feels in your mouth. When you're walking, notice how your feet feel hitting the ground. And whenever your mind starts to wander, just gently bring it back to what's happening right now.
Those are great examples. It makes mindfulness seem a lot more doable, something we can actually fit into our daily routines. We've talked a lot about strategies for building a positive mindset. Can you give us a quick recap?
Sure. So we've talked about gratitude, affirmations, and mindfulness. Gratitude, it's all about appreciating what we have. Affirmations, they reprogram our subconscious mind with positive messages. And mindfulness, it helps us be more present in the moment. By doing these things, we can build a more positive, more empowering mindset, which helps us achieve our goals and live more fulfilling lives.
That's a really helpful summary. And it's not about being perfect, right? It's about finding what works for you and making it part of your routine.
Exactly. That's one of the great things about the doubling effect. It's flexible. You can adapt it to fit your own needs and preferences.
I'm feeling really inspired to actually try these strategies in my own life. It's a good reminder that even small things, if you do them consistently, can make a big difference. And by focusing on our own growth, we can create this ripple effect of positivity that spreads out to others.
Oh.
But there's one last piece of this doubling effect puzzle we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
The power of sharing. Ready to get into that. All right, so let's unpack this whole sharing thing. What makes the doubling effect's approach to sharing different?
Well, it's not about, showing off or looking for praise or anything like that. Instead, they frame it as planting these seeds of growth in other people. You've experienced the benefits, right? So now you're giving others that same chance.
Like paying it forward.
Yeah.
But earlier you're saying that the program makes it clear that we're not responsible for how other people use this, right? So how do those two ideas fit together?
We can share the information, the techniques, the insights, but it's really up to each person to decide what they do with it. You plant the seed, but you can't control if it grows or not.
So it's about giving people the tools without, taking on their journey as our own. What are some practical ways they suggest we share this message according to the doubling effect?
The program doesn't really give you a step-by-step guide or anything. It could be as simple as telling a friend about your experience, or maybe you share a quote on social media that you find inspiring, or maybe you give someone a copy of the program materials. You could even lead a small group discussion if you wanted to. The important thing is that you're genuine and you really want to help.
Yeah, it's not about becoming a doubling effect spokesperson, right? It's more about letting your own experience do the talking, sharing in a way that feels natural.
Right, exactly. And like we've been saying, the most powerful way to share is by just living it. When you actually embody those principles, the breathing, the focus, the positive mindset, the consistent action, it shows in everything you do, your energy, your attitude, the things you achieve. You become this walking, talking example of how powerful the program can be.
So it's about, walking the walk, not just talking the talk. But hold on, the doubling effect. It's not all about sharing outwardly, is it? They also talk about receiving.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The program reminds us that it's crucial to be open to receiving from others, too. A kind word, someone offering to help, a new perspective. Even feedback that might be a little tough to hear, they say it all helps us grow.
It's like it creates this like give and take cycle, right? A back and
Right.
forth flow of energy that helps us connect with others and expand.
Hmm.
And that connects back to the whole doubling effect itself, right? The more you give, the more you get back, often in unexpected and really amazing ways.
That's what makes this whole interconnected system so cool, you know? As you're going through this process, the program encourages you to just trust it, be open to new things, and never stop learning and growing.
Yeah, it's not about reaching some like finish line. It's about embracing the journey of figuring yourself out. And that's what makes the doubling effect so interesting. It's not some quick fix. It's more like this framework for, growing throughout your entire life and finding fulfillment.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, haven't we? We
So,
talked about the power of breathing, letting go of the past, visualization, the impact of sharing.
so as we wrap up, we want to leave you with something to think about. Imagine you could double any aspect of your life every day for the next month. What would you choose and why?
Let that question guide your exploration. And remember, even small actions, if you're consistent, they can create some pretty incredible results. Keep breathing, keep growing, and keep sharing your light with the world.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the doubling effect. We'll catch you next time.